In this video, we're going to be setting up a new Django project and taking our first look at Django templates. The first thing that we need to do for this task is to create a location where we wish to create what we're going to be working on. So I have a folder set up already on my D drive, task 1, 2, and now task 3. So new folder, task 3. Okay, so I've created the folder ready for us to begin working. There's nothing in there. The next step is to use my command prompt to change into that folder. So to get to my D drive, I type D:, followed by the address or the location of that folder, HIT237, followed by task number 1, 2, nope, 3, there we go. So if we use dir to see what's in there, as we can see, there is nothing currently in that location. So now we need to begin making our project. As mentioned in the previous video about setting up a Django project, the steps are relatively straightforward. We need a virtual environment. I'm going to use a short name for my virtual environment. I'm just going to say env_3, nice and short. Once the virtual environment has finished creating itself, we then need to activate the virtual environment. To activate the virtual environment, we just say env week3 or _3, followed by scripts, followed by activate.bat. It changes the prompt so that it now tells us that we have env3 active, which is good. All right, let's clear the screen. So we're starting with a nice blank screen. Next, we just need to install Django into our environment. So that is pip install Django with a capital D equals 3.0.3, specifying the version number to make sure we're getting the correct version into our project. Now that Django is installed, we can create our project. So to do that, we say Django admin start project, or one word, and then the name of the project. So I'm just going to say task 3. Now remember, you can have the full stop on the end or not. If you don't add it, it'll just create an additional subfolder. If you do have it, it will create the project in the current folder where you're sitting. So in my case, I'm sitting in the HIT237 task 3 folder, and that's where I want to create it. So I'll press enter with the full stop there. So if I list the directory structure now to see what folders and files are here, I can see it's created my manage.py and my task 3 folder, which contains my Django project. If you omitted the full stop, the manage.py and the task 3 folder would be in an additional subfolder called task 3. All right. So we have installed pip, we've installed our new project, set it up, and now we need to run our migration. So Python manage.py migrate, and this will set up the database for our new project. Django is designed to run using multiple apps. You can run a project on its own without apps. However, it makes managing the project as it grows much more difficult. So an app is a module of a larger project. So we're going to create our first app here, and we will do that by using the Python manage script again. We will say start app, followed by the name of the app that we want. So I'm going to say task 3 app, just for want of a better name. All right, if we have a look at the folder structure now, we can see we have a new folder called task 3 app. This is where we're going to be working largely today. We will need to make some changes to the task 3 project, but we will be working in the task 3 app. Let's clear the screen, CLS. Now, creating the app on its own is not enough to get Django to recognize that it is connected. In order to do that, we need to edit our settings file. So if we do that with our editor of choice, I'm going to use Atom. I'm going to open a folder, D drive 237 task 3, and I will select that folder. Notice that I can see the task 3 project and the task 3 app folders here. This is just going to make it easier for me because I can expand both of those in the side menu. Okay, to get our project, our task 3 project, to recognize our task 3 app is connected, we need to edit the settings file. Once we have our settings file open, we can see this section, this list of installed apps. This list is a default selection provided to us whenever we create a new project. However, we need to add to it for our project. I like to add a little comment to say that the entries that follow this point are my apps. These are ones that I have created. So we simply just give the name of the app that we created. So I created mine, called it task3_app. Now remember, it is a list, so it's helpful to add the comma on the end so that when you add new apps later on, you don't have to remember to come back and put it in. Okay, make sure that you save that file. Next, we're going to recreate a Hello World example just to make sure that our app is working. So to do that, we start off in the urls.py file of our project. And we're going to need to modify this file a little bit to include the new path and resources. Now we add our URL pattern. So URL, raw string, beginning of the line to the end of the line. So I'm just going to use the root path. Views.hello function, which of course we haven't yet created. So we'll save the file, and then we will go and create the views.hello function. Now notice that we're using the views module from the task 3 app. So in our task 3 folder, task 3 app folder, we already have a views.py file. Here we go. So in here, we need to simply recreate our Hello World def. We're going to use one of the provided shortcut functions of Django, which is the render command. So if we create our function, def hello, and it always accepts a variable or parameter. We'll just call it request by convention. That holds all of the HTML headers. And we will use our render. Return render request followed by a template. Now again, we haven't created our template just yet, but we're going to, and then we will know that our project is working and happy. Oops, I forgot a full stop. Okay, save the file. By convention, Django stores their template files, which is what we're referencing here. This is going to be our template. It stores its template files in a folder called templates within the app folder. So you'll note here that I don't currently have a folder called templates. I need to create it. So new folder, and I will call it templates. The spelling and capitalization is important because this is a Django convention. It expects to find the templates in this folder. Another convention is to have a subfolder from in there named the same as your current app. So task 3 app. And if we put our new HTML templates in here, everything will be nicely organized for us. It is possible to have additional folders if you want to have your templates organized in a different way. So if you want to have templates relating to support, you can put a support folder and put all of those templates into that folder. So it is just a method of organizing your templates. Okay, now that we have that folder, we can create our new template. We called it hello.html, so let's do that. hello.html. So in my templates folder, in my task 3 app folder, I have a hello.html, which is currently blank. Now, have a look at that directory structure and the views file, this one here. Notice that the path listed corresponds to the directory structure under the templates folder. Task 3 underscore app, hello.html. Task 3 underscore app, hello.html. Okay, so that's how it's finding the file. It's starting at the templates folder and using this path to locate the resource that we're talking about. Now that we have our file prepared, I'm just going to paste in some code. Straight HTML, HTML tag, body, a header tag for hello world, and then just a paragraph from the task 3 app. Nothing fancy in our HTML. Save that. And now we're ready to begin testing. Okay, so go back to your command prompt. Make sure that we're in the right location with the manage.py script. Yes, we are. And we want to start our Django server. So Python manage.py run server. If everything has saved properly and all of our configuration changes have worked, we should see that it is currently listening on this port and IP. So if we open our web browser and go there, we should receive our HTML page that we just created. So in here we have our header and then our paragraph text. We can inspect the page source and it identically resembles what we typed. Fantastic. Now that we have our Hello World example working, the next step is to prepare an order, an actual template that we want to see. Now I've got some code pre-prepared, so I'm going to paste that into a new file called order. HTML. Okay, and paste. Now, you'll note that this code has some weird curly braces and percent brackets. Any place where there is a double curly brace enclosing a name, this is a variable that Django will recognize. So we can put content into a variable called person name, and when Django comes to render the HTML, it will replace all of this with the content of that variable. The same here for ship date. That's the name of the variable. However, the pipe symbol and date is a filter. Date is a filter. So it's saying use the content of the variable ship date, send it to the filter to format the date. So this filter formats the date. There are other filters for uppercase, lowercase, title, length. There are many filters. Look them up. Anywhere where we see an enclosing curly brace, and %, is a logical command for Django. So in this case, we're going to do a for loop across a list of items, and each time we go through the list, we're going to store the value into the variable called item. It's going to keep on looping until it hits the for loop. So everything from the starting tag to the ending tag will be looped over multiple times, as many times as there are items in the list. So if there are 5 items, it will print this code here 5 times. Our if statement, so we're doing a logical check. If ordered warranty, then print that. If the warranty was not ordered, then print the following. Remember, the ending tags are just as important as the beginning tags for fors, for ifs, for any logical statement. All right, so that's the template. But how do we get the information into these variables? Before we put the information into the variables, we need to make sure that we have a URL that points to our order HTML tag. So let's add a brand new URL into our urls.py. From the beginning of the string, I want the path order all the way to the end of the string. I don't want anything else. Optionally, let's allow them to have a / or not. The question mark says the preceding character is optional. So the / on the end of the URL will be optional. Doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Then we point it to the resource that we want to return if they access that URL. So I'm going to call my function order, views.order. Now, of course, we have to go and create that. So we'll save the change that we've just done. And in our app, task3 app, we go to our views file, views.py. Here's our hello world function. We're going to leave that alone and just create a new function against the left-hand border, def order. Again, it receives the request object. We're not worrying about what that is at the moment. We're just accepting it because we need to. So I have pasted in some code which I prepared earlier, which you can now have a look at. Just pause the video if you need to. We will also need one extra import. So we're going to need to import the datetime function from Python, because here in our code we're using the datetime function just to generate a date object. Okay, so let's go through this. We're creating some variables: company name, name, ship date, item list, and context data. All right, all of these are just variable names and they can be called anything you want. The fact that in my context data I've created a dictionary which uses similar names is just coincidence. These variable names, company name, name, ship date, item list, they can be anything you want. However, when we're creating our context data dictionary, we need to use the corresponding names. So company name, to provide the data to our dictionary. So in our dictionary, I'm creating a dictionary key called company, and the data associated with that is the variable company name, which of course contains ABC fruit. Ship date, the variable ship date, which up here contains a date object for the 18th of March 2020. The item list dictionary key contains a data item of item list, which has apples, pears, oranges, and dragon fruit. Just a list of fruit. Okay, and finally I have a Boolean value for true for whether you've ordered warranty or not. Now, these dictionary keys here correspond to the variable names that we saw on our ordered HTML template. So if we click over here, we can see person name, company, and item list. These are the keys from our dictionary. Company, person name, item list. Okay, ordered warranty will be another one. So if we check on our if statement, if ordered warranty. So we've hard-coded that to true. So we will always get, at the moment, your warranty information will be included in the packaging. If we change that value to false, we would of course get the alternate telling you that you're on your own. Okay, so I will save that. Remember, you can pause the video and have a look at this code so that you have the opportunity to type out your own example. Feel free to vary the values. They don't have to be ABC fruits, and the variable names don't have to be identical either. All right, importantly, down here, that should actually say task 3, app order. So task 3, we have our templates folder. In our templates folder, we have task 3 app, and in there we have order.html. So task 3 app, order.html. Notice this time, when we did our hello world, we didn't pass a third argument. Here, we're passing context data as a third argument to the render function. This context data is where we're passing the information from our Django program to the HTML page to be interpreted. So this is how we're getting the data from our program to where the user can actually see the information. Now, if everything has worked correctly, and we've saved all of our modifications, our server should already be running. So if we get rid of the view source, because we don't need that, if we now add in the URL that is appropriate, so I believe we said it was order, and press enter. Refused connection. Okay, apparently I have broken something. Oh, right. So it's very easy to do, but notice how it's saying invalid syntax, URL. But the syntax itself is correct. It's basically identical to the line above. The problem was that I forgot to add my comma. Okay, because it's a list, the items in the list are comma delimited, comma separated. Because I forgot the comma, it complained. So once I save that, the server will go back to looking like it's listening on the appropriate port number. There you go, a common problem. Fantastic, it has worked. Dear Veronica Jones, thanks for placing your order from ABC Fruits. And it shows us the items and our warranty information. Now, if I change the information in the views.py and say you actually don't have warranty, because who's going to warrant fruit? They go out of date very quickly. And instead of pears, we're going to have mangoes. Oops. And we're actually going to order them last month on the 1st. When that data changes, I haven't made any changes to my HTML. But if I refresh the page, I now have mangoes on February 1st, and I didn't order warranty. So the information has updated dynamically without me having to alter the HTML, because the information going into these variables has been changed. So by altering the information in the context data that's passed through to the HTML, we can change what gets rendered to the client. If you found this video helpful, then click the subscribe button below this video and leave a comment.